Frank at Snipers. Hide. I think I'm doing my stuff right. Hold on. No Chris today. How's everybody doing? We're checking it out. Hang on. I'm popping in, popping in. That looks good. We're good there. Just got to make sure I'm good. I'm all by myself today. No, Rifle Craft. He's pretty busy. Too bad I'm not getting it for you. Can't be doing shit in the middle of the night. Not doing stuff in the middle of the night with your verification codes. They're sending me verification. I'm going to get a text in 2 minutes and somebody's going to say, please send me that code. Because somebody's working on something that they shouldn't be. And now they're going to ask me for a code. So, anyway, how's everybody doing? Hello. Welcome to the Everyday Sniper. Let me say howdy to the people on the hide. Howdy, hide. And then I got to get in. All right, I'm good. We're there. All righty. Yeah, no Chris today. Sorry about that, guys. Getting ready for shot. Everything's going on. Everybody's busy. We got a little bit of different things happening. So just wanted to bring you some update where we're going, what we're going. Pretty a little busier for SHOT Show this year than I thought I was going to be, I guess is a good way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, my guys are super busy, the ad guys and all that. But I was only going to pick and choose a couple of places to go, but it turned out I'm going to be going to a lot of places every day. I don't know what I can talk about yet. Some of the stuff that's been reaching my desk. I mean, everybody's got embargoes right now until that week of, I guess. You know, I got products here that I got some video and pictures and things of that I've already been working on. We were out this week. Honestly, if you're slick, I was using in my live stream on the hide on Tuesday when I was out with the Ridgeline suppressors with Matt from Ridgeline this week. We were out doing the demos, looking at his 3D printed Inconel suppressors. If you're slick, you could probably see an embargoed product. I covered it a little bit. Just so you couldn't tell what it was saying and what it was, but there was definitely a little bit of visual cue happening this week when I was out with Ridgeline working those Inconel suppressors. Now, and here's the thing, we'll go into that suppressor a little bit since we were talking the Ridgeline stuff. The 3D printed suppressors is allowing them to do things with the flow that aren't baffle stacks, that are non-traditional, I guess, in a way. You know, I'm very happy. And yes, somebody's like, you look happy with your colors. I'm very happy with my colors. I love my colors in the background. And so like you hear stuff like, you know, when I'm on the phone talking to the Ridgeline guys before they came out, they're telling you about designing a suppressor around the sound. And generally speaking, you know, you'll get guys in the old days, you know, they're going to test sound with just the wrapper. How thick do we make the wrapper? You know, the baffle stacks aren't really a great sound mitigator. I mean, they're good, but they're not great when you look at what they're doing in the printed world now. Well, you know, you add more baffle stacks, you throw a key or more in there, you know, maybe an extra hole, because it's turbulence, right? You're trying to create turbulence. She's like, you look happy and relaxed. I wonder why. And they're trying to create turbulence and move the gases around to change the sound. And so, like, you get on the phone and these guys are like, we're going to change the sound. Are you really going to change the sound, or do we need to go through the Pew Science, put a meter on it, and do all those things everybody's doing? Because really, without those numbers, can you talk sound suppression? And he has numbers from Sandia Labs. I call it I always mess the word up, but it's Sandia. But he has sound from working in labs. And so they know, hey, what does this sound like? And they can tell you. But that's not how we do sound for suppressors on the street. There's the mil spec, meter here, meter there, ear, and then there's Pew Science, which is what they're talking about, the AHA algorithm and things like that. And he says he does follow that Pew Science algorithm. All good stuff. And so, but I'm so gun shy to talk sound like that with people. But when you're there shooting it, you absolutely can hear a difference. You absolutely can pick up on the tonal. That it's a tonal difference. It's a lower sound and you're not getting anywhere near the highs or the cracks or anything like that. It's total tonal. But that's a tough sell for people to say, I'm doing tonal stuff. That's a tough sell. But it's there and it's real. You can hear it that whole time and that whole live. Not that my ears work great anymore. This one rings all the time, and the other one every now and then will decide to pick it up and join in. But there's absolutely a tonal difference. And at the same token, to get away from sound, we're looking at this ambient pulling in of air to cool the suppressor as it's shooting. So they're able to put ports and move things around because the 3D printer gives them that 360 degree of freedom that they don't have machining, right? And so, I mean, they do, but it's cost prohibitive. And that's the thing. And now this guy's, or, like a Ridgeline, his suppressors are sub $1,000 and they work really good. They're, don't get me wrong, like that Big Bertha is big and heavy. But when you're there shooting it and doing different things and trying to get it hot in the back, yeah, you could feel some heat. But in the front, not at all. Like, I'm holding those things and I didn't like whoop, whoop, whoop. I wasn't playing. I'm holding on to these suppressors because they're moving airflow through them in such a cool way. Now, the question that I have, I saw it, they sort of address it. So, part of the thing with suppressors during the GWatt years, let's go back 8 years. They kind of were like, we poisoned people. Gas guns, backflow, back pressure, all the different things, blowing gases in people's face. You go do a full day on the line with your 5.56 and you're carboned everywhere and it's all over you. And it's coming in your face and it's all that. And then it's like, give me a charging handle, give me this, give me that. And so there was all these little things to divert the gases out of our face. But at the end of the day, they poisoned us. And so people kind of went quietly. They're like, oh shit, we're blowing all that nastiness in everyone's face and not good. So now they you can't have gas leaks. You got to have these tighter seals. They're trying, flow through caps. They're doing all these things. And in some ways, some of that stuff has a potential to bring the sound back up. Evening, Robbie. How you doing? And as you're doing that, now they're moving the air through. And so I feel it may be a little bit cleaner system, but then the 3D printing, he's printing steel, he's printing Inconel, and he's not the only one. I'm not talking Ridgeline or anything like that. I'm talking most of the 3D printed stuff you see, majority. They're very rough. And last year at Recon Sniper at SHOT Show, I met a government contractor whose whole job is to look at how that roughness captures, collects, and moves the poisons, the carbons, and the things that then go in and attach. Right? So now we're running into, all this stuff. And so I'm not sure where that roughness falls with some of it, but the sound work they're getting, the cooling features they're getting, it's maintaining accuracy on and off, things like that. The fact he can print a reflex now, one of my barrels, it was too thick, so there's a downside, right? Right. And I completely like screw it's just it's a weird time. It was very last minute. It was in I'm watching weather because the weather's not right. Like even today, 18-mile-an-hour winds. We're running into this it's winter winds and weathers and things. So the window for success for him to even come out is very small. And so I ended up, I should have brought different rifles or and his rifles weren't 100%. And so I didn't get a really great look like I wanted, but I got a great look. You know, it's just now that I see, like, because they didn't tell me who it was before. I was reached out by a third party and they were being cagey. And then, like, they dropped oh, by the way, this is who's coming. And there's very little on his website to show me. So I was really sight unseen and didn't know. And so that's kind of one of those things where it's it's definitely interesting now that I've kind of hindsight is 2020. I revisited in my head and I'm like, oh, I could do this different. And now that I see what he has, that's cool. Okay, things can be done. And I'm going to work with him. We're going to do a group buy for Sniper's Hide. He can even like brand the suppressors. They can, 3D print designs into the wrappers, into the shell. Like he had flags and his logo and things. So we're probably going to do a group buy, which a group buy for Sniper's Hide means we're going to offer you his models. 3 of them, I believe, we're going to offer. And the various options, and you'll get a modest discount for being a member. Now with no tax on suppressors, no tax on tips, no tax on suppressors. And so, no tax on suppressors. We were at Mile High yesterday and it's like, yeah, people are coming in and buying stuff. I was even like when I was there, I said to Laura, she didn't jump on it, but I was like, you should get cans and put them in right now. And she didn't take advantage of it, but it's like everybody's taking advantage of the no tax stamp on your suppressor, and they're reporting the turnaround time is very quick, day or two. So it's a good time to jump in on this suppressor stuff. So right after SHOT Show, look for a Ridgeline group buy, modest discounts, offering them up, and they're amazing suppressors. They work. They're so quiet. I mean, the white rifle video, that's a 300 PRC. I don't think people realize we're shooting, that's a 300. And then we shot 6.5, 6 arc on the gasser. I didn't change my gas block. I didn't want to retune it because it was good. And so I cycled it to try to just get heat in it. Because cans on a 5.56 tend to get hotter quicker than a bolt gun. And so I just wanted to get heat in it to feel it. And so I didn't mess with it. I didn't put it on. I would rather tune it up because then I'm going right back to my setup. And I honestly, the way I love that 6 arc Craddock, I didn't want to mess with it. And again, I should have brought one of the Bear Creeks and just beat the snot out of it. But I had the bolt group pulled out of the Bear Creek. It was all apart in a way because I used some of those parts for the Craddock when I put the lowers and uppers together. But yeah, it's the 3D printed suppressor world is cool. And then I was reached out last year at SHOT Show. Since I kind of could talk, we're pre-shot banter, 3D printing. Last year, I saw a rifle, one that I believe might have been entirely 3D printed minus the barrel and maybe, but now like the guy already reached out to me and he's like, "Please come see me." Really new stuff. So think about last year, I saw a 3D printed rifle and it looked like a A5, like or an A6. It looked like an M40 A6, that kind of chassis. And it was a chassis gun. It was, you know what I mean? And they're like, whoa, that's kind of amazing. In the directions they can go with these 3D printed, and they're solid. You know what I mean? If you like look in, if you cross section it, it's metal. It just looks on the outside. It's rough. It has a grid. It has like that final, like you can see the pattern of the nozzle maybe. And so but 3D printed is giving us some really really big options. And so I'm going to kind of visit that for shot. I did figure out I went live. I was at 1080 on that iPad and I believe the iPad was throwing too much megapixels at my live system. I readjusted. I was going to go out today and do it, but there was 18-mile-an-hour wind. And so what my main goal now before shot, I lowered everything. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I'm going to move into 720. I'm going to get out of the 1080 world. I'm going to go into 720. And the bitch is, I had already pulled most of my phones and equipment down from 4K to 1080. And now I got to drop the ones I'm using for live down to 720. It just can't handle the bandwidth of the feed. So while the sound was really good, if we move too fast or if we move too big, it glitched. And by glitch, it does that blur. You could still hear it. So that was my first 2 hours, turn the live on Sniper's Hide, shooting, talking the suppressors, doing that whole thing. And it worked for the most part, other than that little bit of glitchy in its settings, right? I gotta figure out what the limits are. And then one of the guys was saying, couple things. This is gonna happen for shot too, because Wi-Fi and service at shot, you don't want to pay for it. They charge you like it's like $80 a day, they're saying, at the convention center right now. If you're gonna do what do you call it? If you're doing Wi-Fi and you buy it, it's like $80 a day. And so then you're dealing with that and the whole thing. Well, I they're saying the Starlink Mini I was using might have a little bit lower of that upload, and I don't think my upload is that slow up there out at the range, but 1080 my system in the Starlink Mini, it was trippy, right? It wasn't 100%. And so now it's new, it's winter, new season, new year, new things. I'll get that sorted out. That's an easy thing to do. But at shot, I'll check it before I go, and I'll double check one at shot, and then we'll go live when we're there. And I'm hoping if I do it and use my phone, and kind of go through with the phone. I can get it down at that 720. I can get it preset and everything will go nice. And I'll be able to bring you these guys. And what I'm going to look to do for everybody listening, everybody on there now watching, and you guys paying attention is I'll go for these guys' elevator pitches, right? So I'm going to be like, hey, man, before you even tell me, and because here's what happens, I'll explain it to you what happens. You walk up, you get the pitch, and you go, that's cool. Let's do it on camera. And they never get it right the second time. Nobody does. It's like it's never the same. It's never right. Like that out of the gate pitch is usually their best. So I think if I kind of just go through there, get this system 100%, which I got a couple 4 or 5 days. Monday we leave, and get the bandwidth right and just get it down. I mean, honestly, at this point, if I got to do like a 480, I may do a 480 just so it's smooth. You know what I mean? I want to kind of go in and make sure it's smooth. So I may do 480 just so it's smooth, and which on your phone shouldn't be a big deal. But plan on me wandering shot. Plan on me bringing my phone live and this live system to you. Yes, the live out at the range this week was a little glitchy, and I got a remedy for that. So I'm going to be looking to remedy it. I honestly thought because it was like, you know, my iPad and my phone with a mini, nothing else was connected to it. And I don't know what numbers, but somebody was saying that iPad back camera might be blasting a pretty heavy load. Where, usually a lot of people do the front cameras and they're walking and looking at themselves and talking to you. And the front camera doesn't have the bandwidth of the back cameras. And so I was running off the back camera of that iPad at 1080. So I'm kind of maxing out the iPad. And then the system being remote, like I said, this audio is awesome. If you're just driving in your car, going to work or going somewhere and listening to it, there's the winner. Rusty, the big winner. Yeah, man, it's gonna be neat. I think the 3D printed stuff is gonna be cool. And so I think I'm gonna be able to bring that to you and stuff. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of reached out. I'm embargoed on the high end stuff that people know about. Yes, bonus points if it is in Mile High, right? But the question is, Ryan, are you gonna be driving around a scooter again? Are you broken? Is there a foot problem? Because usually when I see you, Ryan, you're on a scooter. I need a scooter. I'm old now. I want the scooter, damn it. Be like Randy. But you know what, though? Mile High, Thunder Beast, Zico, and all those guys. Dude, I really appreciate you, Rusty. Appreciate that. And glad you got it. But Mile High, that's like Thunder Beast has a couch. So it's easy to hang out down there and then just crash on Thunder Beast's couch. And then you got Zico in front of you and Mile High behind you and everybody right there. So if they see me, both legs are in good shape. Nice, nice. And so yeah, it's nice to hang out. That's where I got yelled at by, I got in trouble with the comp people at the Thunder Beast booth. I got finger in my face, only one of us has $100,000 car in the garage. I have two. Anyway, but yeah, so it was funny. That was the good booth, and and then they're all walk up to me after, like, did that just happen? I'm like, yeah, that happened. I got yelled at, but I always get yelled at. But anyway, so it was funny. And so yeah, I like it. The Zico guys, I like talking to Jeff. I'm gonna tell you a story, Zico's story, shot show stories. We're in shot show banter, shot show story. So early on, I go to SHOT Show. First couple years when I started Sniper's Hide with US Optics. Yeah, 30. I'm running down to 32. I did drop it to 1080 30. I got to go to 720 30 really is what I think. But yeah, I might, 1080 60 is nicer, but I did drop it to 30, but I still think that back camera's too big. So anyway, I used to go to SHOT Show with US Optics. In fact, when it was in Orlando, we were talking, and now here I'll go back in time. So 2000, I start in November of 2000. I start Sniper's Hide. May of 2001, I get the forum and start buying it, and it's a forum then, and so now I'm Sniper's Hide the forum. Well, in that year, guys on there, he's like, you need to go USO, you need to go Scopes and talk to John Senior and learn this, learn that. So I said, it's 2002, 2001. I said, hey, I got a website and people come visit me, and I want to talk about your Scopes because this guy said something to me, and he's like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, this guy was like, it's cool. And he's like, if you want to talk scopes, you're going to come here for 10 days. You're going to build scope. And then you're going to learn what a scope is. And then I'll talk to you about scopes. I'm like, okay, I'll take 10 days. So 10 days I go California. I go to US Optics. I learn scopes. I assemble some. I work in the shop. I'm there every day, all day. I'm working with John Senior, and we're doing all that. So, you know, at the time, we're still mixing mill and MOA. MOA turrets, mill reticles. We're not really doing mill yet. And so I'm like, converting sucks. And John Senior's like, well, just do an MOA reticle and blah, 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 because he had the engineering catalog and the stuff. And so in Orlando at SHOT Show with US Optics at dinner, I drew their first MOA reticle and they built it. And so we had an MOA scope that came out of SHOT Show. Well, then I get sites getting busy, getting popular. I'm starting to do things, and then I'm working at Rifles Only. Well, I get a booth at SHOT Show for Sniper's Hide, and Rifles Only's in there, and we kind of make it like a hangout. In the beginning, it was really just for everybody to meet. It was like meet and greets and things, and so it was cool because it was Badger, GA Precision, Sniper's Hide, and Strider. All of us were together in the LE section, and for like 4 or 5 years, that's how it was. And at the time, you used to have to go in on Tuesday and alphabetically and by points, because as you bought booths, you got like loyalty points. And then the following year, you got to pick and choose where you were going to be based on your loyalty points and some other factors. And then alphabetically. Well, I always sat early on with Night Force, with Jeff Huber, because he did Night Force's booth. And so Huber and I would sit there, and I was always intimidated by Jeff. And so I would talk to him and do different things and, just kid glove the whole way. And so I've had a relationship in a way with Jeff Huber from Zico since like 2002 or 3 because of the booth situation at SHOT Show. And that even like to this day, because it was Jeff Huber was there, then you had Kyle Brown was there, and Kyle's at Zeiss. And to this day, like there's always these things, Frank did this, Frank did that. And Night Force, if you recall, the NXS was a second focal plane American scope. Second focal plane. Well, once I had gone through US Optics, I start learning and I'm doing all this stuff, and then I start picking up Schmidt and Bender. I don't want nothing to do with second focal plane anymore. Night Force, Kyle Brown at that time and all them, which Kyle Zeiss and all that, but that group credits me with moving America to front focal plane because I wouldn't shut up about it. I was just that squeaky wheel, so noisy. Sit with them, show them. I'm on Sniper's Hide. We're talking on there. I don't want to know nothing about second focal plane. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, if you're going to have an ELR gun or something, there's a lot of benefits to second focal plane. Cop shops, they like the second focal plane. I personally think all the hunters should be first focal plane and not second like a lot are. But police, I don't have a problem second focal plane. ELR people, second focal plane, things like that. But yeah. And so that was the situation. So Jeff and I go back a very long time. And as I do with a lot of people in the industry, like when I met George Gardner, GA Precision, he had only built 80 rifles. Like when I met him, it's like, hey, you're George, I'm Frank. What's your name? Tell me your story. He had done 80 rifles. Is that kind of stuff. And then like going there and all that, we were doing the GA guns. And George, through his relationship with Marty, knew Marty had a prototype for an AICS bottom metal, but Marty wouldn't release it. So we had done the Headhunter rifle. There's a Headhunter in here. And then we went and did the Harbinger. The Harbinger came out with Marty's bottom metal. So George walks me in, says, hey Marty, that last group buy for the Headhunter rifles went really well. We sold 50 rifles. We're going to do another one and we want to put a magazine in it. An AI mag. And George says you have a bottom metal. Okay, I'll do it for you guys. The M5 bottom metal was introduced on the Sniper's Hide Harbinger. And that's where that came from. And same thing like the Headhunter introduced the A5 stock from Macmillan because the A5 was crowd built on Sniper's Hide. Kelly McMillan was a regular member on Sniper's Hide. I had made a comment about the A4 stock the Marine Corps was using for their A3 rifle, and I called it a paddle, a boat oar, a paddle. And I didn't like it. And so he says, well, what would make you happy? What would be better? And so we started crowdfunding, or not crowdfunding, but crowd building the A5. And so the A5 came out of the forum, crowd designing it and all that. And that was the Headhunter. We did the Headhunter around that stock. Then we did the Harbinger around the bottom metal. So we did all those different little things. We even had the Valkyrie was the Badger 2013, the AI copy, but never worked right really and didn't catch on that action. It was Badger had the AI action, that was the copy, and that was the Valkyrie. And so every couple years we would do a Sniper's Hide rifle and, try to incorporate something different or new. Features, my ad guy's asking me shit at 6:30 at night. All right, he's asking stuff. Anyway, so yeah, that's, you know what I mean? So like the Hide over the years just had all these things, and then SHOT Show is where, we go and press the flesh and then do all that stuff and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so yeah, back to SHOT, visit it up, go see who's there and what's going on. I did notice I want to go check out Palmetto State has a bolt gun now. Looks like they're using a soulless action, which I'm a big fan of the soulless actions because they're saying it's a 3-lug 60-degree. I mean, the video, I didn't expand it or blow it up or do anything. And so the Palmetto State, they're doing a little shorty gun right now. Looks like a Solus. And then they're doing a Remage barrel nut style. So the Remage is it's like a Savage barrel nut Remage. And I even think they're like Savage patterns. That you just pull them off and you can switch barrels, and then you'll just need a vise or probably to get it to break it loose. I don't know how many inch pounds they're going to put on it, whether you'd have to put it in a machine or you could just snug it. Well, because you don't need a lot. Um, you don't need a lot of inch pounds on the barrel. Guys are doing barrels almost hand tight now. And speaking of gap, the team gap guys, they kind of just hand tight their barrels and don't even snug them. Don't even torque them. So it's a bench resty thing. Less is more for them. But anyway, so yeah, so it looks like the Palmetto State to me looks like a soulless in their package, and I'll just have to go see what their retail is because they said they're going to offer actions and offer this, offer that. And then who knows? There was all that little wiggle waggle with the Arrow. Maybe Arrow got bought. I don't know. They're saying, I'm hearing rumor somebody else got bought. Just been talking about people. And there's a lot of who got bought rumors. I've gotten so I got hit last week with, hey, I heard a rumor so and so got sold. Really? To who? And then I went online and on Hyde and they're doing rumors. I said, hey, I heard a rumor somebody sold. And then somebody kind of brought up the name and then said, so and so bought it, but it was a joke. And it said, so and so bought it. Joke. And now I got a call today and they're like, hey, did you hear so and so bought them? Now, maybe it's not a joke. Maybe the person made a joke and it's real. And I haven't made any phone calls really to ask, it's not my business. I don't care. I'm not going there. And in the old days, I would want to know immediately. I'd be calling everybody to find out who bought them. Who sold who bought who. And nah, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, so it was pretty funny that that guys are like calling me like, hey, I heard a rumor and it's this. I'm like, well, I think that rumor was started on the Hyde by a guy making a joke. Really? Yeah, go look at the fine print and what that person posted. They're saying it's a joke. So that'll be interesting to see who's bought and sold, who's in the things like that. Gosh, who else? One of the neat things is I'm going to a breakfast. The meeting for like people like me is a breakfast. And I think that's kind of cool. Like they're going to sit you down and feed you. You don't even have to go into the convention center. It's out in the back and they'll probably have an area, but I think that's pretty neat. I'd gone to different things. Like I said, I'm going to take or go to lunch with Vectronics and stuff like that. And so it's not uncommon that we hang out and do, and usually dinners, somebody will say, hey, we're all going to dinner. Do you want to come? And I'll get that kind of thing. And like I said, Recon Sniper, I'm going to Top Golf for Night Force and, whatever the heck other parties and stuff. Usually by the time I'm doing all the regular stuff, it's like, and I can't drink really anymore. I probably will a little, maybe. I don't know, but it doesn't. I'm not supposed to. I don't drink anymore, and I can't. I'm not, and it doesn't do me right. If I do drink even a little bit, I'll feel it, and I'll see the ill effects of it. But but yeah. So who knows? It'll be fun though. It's neat. I got a couple people I'm going to see. And speaking of going to see in Leica, Laura came home. She was out. She had a VA appointment today. She got to get her shoulder done, or she has to get her leg and her shoulder done. She's going to be like double surgery. And so she's coming in from the VA and she's like, hey, there's a, yeah, there's a bunch of new thermal stuff. And that's like Leica, that thermal they sent me. And that's what I'm getting to, that Colin X. Thermals are like electro optics alone. You're going to see electro optics through the roof. And the electro optics, there's never a shortage for the electro optics. It's just what happens is can you afford it? Because I'll go there and see something real neat. It'll be 20 grand, maybe 15 grand. And then you go, nobody's going to deal with that. And now I'll go there this year and it'll be five, and then you'll talk about it and go, oh, I saw it last year, but it was 20 grand. This year they only want 5 grand for it, so the thermals are coming. And speaking of that, Leica she came in the back door and she said, hey, there's a package at the back door. And it was a little thing. And I said, well, I didn't order anything. And Leica had sent me a rail mount for the Colon X. So a couple of you guys had mentioned, you know, can't hang the thermal off the scope. When I have the Leica, you can install the thermal and lock it into the front of the scope. So you got that adapter on the front of your scope. The thermal has the mount, and you just clip it in and lock it down, and it's on, and there's no zeroing, there's no menus, there's nothing. You just turn it on and shoot through it. And if you want to record, hit the front button, and laser rangefinder and all that. And that's a European thermal chipset. So not an Asian chipset, not anything like that. And so, yeah, you'll probably see Rusty European thermals kick up a notch. Like Chris Wisecarver from Sport Optics. I have to find his thermal company name. I can't think of it. He's a European thermals. He's not an Asian thermals. So Sport Optics out of Louisiana, and they were Hyde supporters and all that. They sell a lot of optics. They're kind of like the Southern Euro Optics, Southern Mile High. He has a thermal company, and his thermal company is out of Europe, not Asia. So you'll probably see him because Europe changed their chipset a little bit, and Leica's running the new chipsets. But they sent me a rail mount, so you can just put the thermal on a rail in front of your scope, and you don't have to install it like that. So yeah, that came in today, and I wasn't expecting it. So expect thermals to be big. I'm going to see Big Blue. They haven't told me for what. I would almost think Big Blue's going to have a thermal for me to look at, because they do have nice thermals in Europe, and I would bet Big Blue's going to take their military line and notch it down a little bit, and you'll see some competitively priced Zeiss stuff. So that wouldn't surprise me if my meeting with them is thermals. So I don't know. I'm talking out my butt, but I'm guessing based on the way the wind's blowing, and what's going on with that kind of stuff. But yeah, the thermal, I mean, honestly, if you're not exploring thermals, you're behind the curve. Even Rusty, the Athlon is nice. The Athlon to me is a really nice Americanized, dedicated unit. It's not a clip-on. It's like a Pulsar. It's competitively priced. It's only like 2,500 to 3 grand. It's got a really easy menu, good zeroing, a lot of neat features in the Athlon. And so for a dedicated, yes, I'm going to cover as much as I can in the whole, hey, Melissa's on. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Yes, she's going to be bionic. Hey, how you doing, Melissa? Good to see you. Hey, say, Melissa, congrats with everything happened with your son. That is just so amazing to see him climbing the ladder of success. I mean, he's on it, man. He's on the trajectory. He's on the path. One day I'm going to be watching friggin' TV, and I'm going to see Melissa's son on TV, and I'm going to go, there he is. I know that kid. And so that's super neat to see that. But good to see you, and hopefully, I don't know, you don't usually go to SHOT Show. I probably won't see Melissa at SHOT. But yeah, so there is, like I said, if you're not exploring the thermals, even the lasers, even all that, I'm even playing around. I broke out like some of my laser stuff and the designators and the things. Oh, you'll be there? Okay. Hopefully I'll run into you. We'll try to run into each other and hopefully we can connect. Good, it'll be good to see you again. It's been since you were, since Georgia, 2 years ago, I guess, when I was down there last and saw you. But yeah. So designators, thermals, all that kind of stuff is really, really coming into its own. And it wouldn't even surprise me to see. I don't know. It's probably too early to see heads up and HUD stuff that might be in goggles or something. And I don't mean VR, I mean like display, in our glasses. So it wouldn't surprise me to start seeing like the Lucky Palmer stuff start appearing in a heads up type display. The lasers and all that and everything, it's just going and going. Hopefully we'll see uh, a drop in some of the prices for those bigger lasers, the weapons mounted and the different lasers that we're seeing. Because right now we're hovering around that $5,000 to $7,000 for the good ones, which is better than the $12,000. 5 to 7's better than 12, but once they kind of get into that 25 to 3,500 zone, I think you're going to see an outpouring because then other companies will see the value in it. You know what I mean? Because we'll just say a $3,500 unit will probably only cost them $1,500, and a company can afford that to get in the game, and then they'll be making some money. I mean, heck, it might only be $750, at that point. And so you may see a drop in some of the prices. At some point, somebody's gonna say, "I'm making enough selling it cheap." Somebody's gonna take the dive and not do the higher end. They're gonna go lower end and just be like, "I want to sell more." So, but that's interesting. But new optics are coming. Like I said, if you're slick, you might have saw what I think is one of the cooler new ones. I was running it on Tuesday when I was out there, and honestly, I'm a big fan of it. I'm really like I was behind it, and It's like, I like this, and it's not huge. It's quick. It's more DMR, right? Nice, but there's a whole line of new optics coming. We got two of them here right now. I just can't talk to you all yet about them too much. And then I'll start bringing you, I'll have time behind them when the embargo's up, and I'll be able to bring you stuff on that. And who else? Who else do I have a meeting with? I'm trying to think of where my meetings are and what that means for product. Like I said, 90% I'm embargoed, and I hate that, but you got to play the game if you want to keep in their good graces and keep getting things and playing with it. So I got to deal with the embargoes. And then oh, I know what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Not that it's SHOT Show related, but I meant to talk about this in the beginning, and then I went to the banter. So talking with Larry in the rings and all that. And we're probably going to be able to do a group buy for Larry on these, and he'll have sort of 9 variants of these really tall rings. He's doing the 175s, he's doing the 2.0s, and he's doing the 2.25s. So 3 heights and then 3 different diameters of the tube. But on we've been talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I said to Chris the other day, I said, I feel like a broken record with the high mounts, because it's new. We're looking at it. We're playing with the benefits of it. Well, guys on Sniper's Hide, the Hide.tv, they listen to what we say. They follow what we say. They'll practice and try. And that's, it's like, hey, give this a try. Tell me what you think. And if they came back and said, absolutely not, this sucks, I would have dropped it. But, I have threads on the Hide talking about these ultra high mounts, and everybody sees the benefit. And they're finding other benefits we haven't thought about. like the fatigue and different things, you know? Well, Cliff, who was a student, Cliff has a channel. He is a general purpose rifle channel. He's a truck gun guy. He likes SIG crosses, does a lot with a cross, but he has some other rifles too. So Cliff got the taller mounts, rails anyway. He put a riser on. And he has a video channel on the High TV where he talks truck guns, he talks general purpose rifles, he talks practicality, right? Nothing crazy fancy. I got a SIG cross, will travel. And he put a riser up and a high mount. So he does that and he does his videos and he talks about it. Well, the first video he put out elicited a big reaction, like all the high mount content elicits. It's polarizing. Hate it, don't like the way it looks, blah blah blah. This is no good. What are you, crazy? No, why would you do that? Looks silly, looks stupid. Yeah, yeah, sorry, Rusted. Yes, I have I infrared, iRay in the different ones. Not the other one I haven't run. I've run iRay, maybe not infrared. I've run iRay. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I like iRay. Rick's, right? That Rick's stuff I had, that S3 Storm I gave away is sort of like the OEM iRay. But not the infrared, I don't think. So a little different. But so Cliff on his channel puts out a high riser mount and gets a big reaction. So he made a follow-up video to address the comments in the first video, and he goes point by point. If you go on the front page of the High TV, Cliff's second video, the High, is excellent. And he demonstrates, because somebody even on X had said to me, I want low scope mounts for speed. And it's like, are you crazy? Like, the higher ones are 10 times faster, completely faster. And so he basically, with his SIG in his hand, and he's like, hands up, he dropped to his sitting and fired off 3 rounds just to show you. Outstanding video. Really, really good to show you the practical purposes. Not my voice, someone else. And he explains it. And even like somebody had questioned I don't want to say the durability, but more or less the reliability of a riser on a rail with a ring and a scope, the way a lot of us had done it just to try it. And he said how many months he'd been running it and never had a change in zero with a truck gun. In, out, up, down, in X number of rounds he shot. No issues. So just as a side note, because I didn't want to get too crazy into the crazy high mount stuff that we're doing. New videos on the Hide, not my voice, in talking about the pros and cons of a high mount. So I just wanted to bring that up there. But oh, okay, it is the same company. I've dealt with the Chinese OEM. Funny story. So a couple years back, and I mentioned it a couple times, the Chinese OEM of those companies sent a agent, whatever, a representative, and they followed me around. And so I went to 3 places, and each time they were there to like meet me, but I didn't even like know they were coming. And one of them was Alaska. I was in Alaska, and they're like, hey, we want to do fun stuff. And I'm like, no, we already did our fun stuff. I'm done. And I'm like, if you want to do new fun stuff, we got to start all over, and it's going to cost you money, you know, because I did like a minor thing for it. It was like the Rick's parent company. And it was like a minor thing. And, you know, and they're like, we want to do more. I'm like, I'm like, if you want to talk to me, I can't, or I said to him, I said, I can't talk to you right now. I'm in Alaska working. And they said, we're in Alaska. I went, what? I'm like, oh, no, no way. Because, like, I went to Texas and they're like, they're in Texas, you know? And then I went to Alaska. They're in Alaska. And so I'm like, okay, I'm at mile marker 88. If you want to come see me and have dinner, mile marker 88. Guess who shows up to mile marker 88 and has dinner with me? Thermals, right? So I do have a relationship with them. The only thing I'll say, Rusted, is you have to get the American ones. The menu, it's all about the menu. When you get a pictograph one that's doesn't have the English conversion in the menu, forget it. It is so hard to navigate because the Chinese stuff and the Asian stuff, their menus are so deep. They're pages. And so if you don't have like iRay, the main thing with iRay and now the Ricks, the new stuff that's here, they Americanize it. And these guys, the people who met me earlier were giving me the OEM thermal without the Americanized menus. And they were so hard to use, which is why, like today, if I had two of them, like, and I do in a way, if I have a thermal that's dedicated or has to be zeroed or mounted or has menus like that versus the Leica, the Colonex, I'm doing the Leica all day. And for me, less is more. I just want to shoot through it. I might record a little with it. Great, you gave me a laser rangefinder. I'm happy. I don't want to get into the weeds with my thermals. You know what I mean? I don't need to. Like, to me, look for the animal. There it is. Shoot the animal. Done. That's all I want. Or, whatever it is. And, maybe it's like look through, range, record, shoot. Maybe. That's like as much as I want to do. Record, range, shoot. Record, range, shoot. Something like that. And I don't want to get that deep into that thermal menu. And so yeah, it's that's my only warning with the Chinese stuff is get the Americanized version and make sure you can you understand the menu system, because the menu system to me is the confusing part. And the deeper the menus go, to me, the less I like it. You know, right. And Rusty's saying that. He says he's seen the old ones, they suck, you should never. And again, maybe new, because it does change so often, like this year, I'll go by Rick's and their menus might be great. You know what I mean? And that stuff. And so that was my history of going in that direction. I had that S3 Storm. I had a couple of the different Rixes, and I'd have to go back and look at the other one in there. I have two, I think, still at the house here of the Rix, that were there. But yeah, and like to me, it was night and day going to the Leica thermal with no setup, barely any. I mean, the menus in the Leica are the same as my camera. It's white balance and brightness. That's it. You know what I mean? And I sort of set them where I'm comfortable and don't worry about them anymore, just like you almost would in a camera. So to me, the Leica, which Leica cameras, like, you know what I mean? When I looked at what came out of Leica, was everything I'm used to. When I look out at what came out of Asia, it's like you said, 5 menus deep. We're going 5 pages deep. You're going down into these really convoluted zeros. And part of it, and I understand this, is the hunting world, which the thermals are geared towards for the most part that we're talking. Everybody's got a different zero. So they're doing all these, they want to accommodate like if you told them you had a zero one time when they were building that menu, they put it in there. Oh, I zero at 25, it's in there. Oh, I zero at 50, it's in there. Oh, I zero at 100, it's in there. And it's like, why do I have to scroll through to 100-yard zero and hit 5 buttons to get 100-yard zero on it? And it's all that kind of stuff. So, but again, like he's saying, old, new, the speed in which this stuff moves is insane. So from year to year, we could be seeing a huge difference, and so that's just what happens. And I don't, and I'm trying, like, even like, I'll give you a great example. I don't know if I didn't realize it, spaced it, forgot it. When Chris and I were doing that handgun carbine test and we had the apartment and we were doing the moving floor and all this stuff, we were talking reloading and all that. And that was just last year. And he's like, hey, I'm going to order, a 650 XL and blah, blah, blah. And he's talking about a Dillon. And so somebody this last week, 2 weeks ago, was talking about a Dillon. And I'm like, oh, you should just get a 650. And it's like they discontinued it. It's a 7. I mean, it's just a number change. But it's like they upgraded it and it's a 750 now. And I'm not paying attention to that part of the industry. And who knew Dillon changed the 650 to the 750? Wasn't paying attention. I probably saw it, spaced it, because it wasn't priority in the front of my brain. And so changing names, changing this, changing that, it's so hard right now to keep up. There's even like, I'm even hearing other buy and sold and bought and sold companies that I don't know what I could talk about with that. And it's optics we're using. And I know this company bought that company, but I don't know if it's public. It's not a huge thing, but it's enough to say, yeah, that and that is bought. And I don't know if I could talk about it. So I'm being safer than sorry because I don't want to get yelled at when I go to SHOT. I almost always get yelled at when I go to SHOT because I've said something online somebody didn't like, and they're going to pull me in the back and they're going to be like, and I'll be like, all right, got it. So cool, man. But yeah, what else? Anybody else? But electro optics, I'm gonna try to be all over as much as I can. I'm gonna try to bring you the video of electro optics. That includes thermals and scopes and lasers as well. I'll be in the laser world with everything. Rifles, like I said, I'll look at Palmetto, but that seems to be a soulless to me. So, but in a cool way, it might be. I don't know the price and all that. I'll see what kind of tech we got going on with that and what else. Like, like one of the things I saw, like Barrett has the covert. I have an original covert here. I probably can even go get the suitcase, bring it in here, open it, and I wouldn't get flagged. Because I have from 2006, I got it, I think, from Alice at Tech Pro. I have an original AI AW covert with the short barrel 20-inch suppressor, folds, and in the mirror caturster. So I know Barrett did an MRAD covert in a Eberly stock soft case now. I used to be in the old, like, used to go to stuff for the LE and the different people who were doing tricky shit. Mark Spicer is the ultimate covert guy. You guys may know Mark Spicer's name out and about. Spicer and coverts, he'll be up there talking with a computer bag, a messenger bag, and it's just a computer bag. And he'll bust out an AI out of it. He'll pull a 338 out of a messenger bag. You think about it. Get yourself a 338 arc, put a nice can on it with a little bitty barrel because it's a 338 arc. fold that guy up in a bad AX. Doop, doop, doop. That thing will go into a little bitty case. Especially you do like a 16-inch barrel, do like a 9-inch suppressor, and then fold that guy up in a 338 arc. Oh, that's a thumper. That's an assassin gun. You'd be like some Saracen assassin guy. That'd be pretty cool. But he's done that, and that's kind of one of the things that so Barrett's got an arc. And that kind of stuff. But yeah, otherwise, I can't think of. I'm trying to think what else might be there. Oh, that's something else. I'm thought somebody's texting me like, "Oh, don't forget about this," and I'm like, "No, it's talking about." I'm in a group text for crap. But let me think. What else did I get hit up with that maybe I can mention? Oh, what do we got? What back there? It's covered. Nobody could see it. Anyway, but yeah. So there you go. That's that's our SHOT Show preview. Monday we're going to the Sphere on no, probably Tuesday morning. I'll just do a hey I'm here update. But look for the High TV lives. We can go live without any kind of censorship or anything like that. And then I'll hit, like I said, what I'm hoping to do is if I see it cool, just going live. So you may see a series of 5-minute lives. You know what I mean? At each booth that I go to. And luckily, in a lot of ways, in SHOT Show, it's like booth we need, booth we don't, booth we need, booth we don't. So it's not like every single booth you go to is something interesting, but you always get the hey, did you see? You when you run into people in the hallway, they're like, hey, did you see? Go check out. Hey, did you see? Go check out. But anything else you guys in as well? I may do a dedicated thread in the forum on the hide, most likely in the very top equipment section in the armory. During SHOT Show, for you to ask me to go to a booth you heard about that I may not have. So what I'll do is Monday night, I'll start a thread in the armory on the hide. Tell me where to go. And then I'll go there and bring you the live, and you'll be able to see it. And so that will be another variation of how I can do that, to do the back and forth communication that way. So I can go into the thing, look at everything, and go, okay, what do people want us to look at? I'll go here. All right, what else they want us to look at? I'll go there. But like I said, that one guy was pretty hot on the 3D printed with the full rifle. It was the company that last year he had a complete rifle. So I'm really interested into what direction. And then even like I said, with Ridgeline and the 3D printed stuff that's coming out, the fact they're printing metal to the degree they're printing metal, like this Inconel, you talk to them and they don't like machining Inconel, right? They don't like machining it, but they'll print it. And so that's a huge win for us on the consumer side. And then that change in flow, that change in sound, and that change in heat. Think about that. They're changing through the 3D printing, they're changing the heat signature of a suppressor and the sound signature of a suppressor just by the pattern they print it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They teach it day one of an assassin school. Yeah, additive and it's so big right now. It's so positive. Like I said, the only negative I'm finding that anything anybody's told me about in the 3D printing world is only in that suppressor stuff is the roughness in the collection of the carbon in the poison, that it holds it. So if they can get it where it's, coat it or do something that sort of repels some of that carbon, because the military's going to want a cleaning schedule for suppressors. Mark my word. You're going to see if they didn't already incorporate it. But anybody that's going to be running suppressors religiously like that as an issued piece of gear, I bet you start to see them requiring it to be cleaned a bunch, because it's not good for us, and a bunch of us will get craziness and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm totally looking forward to where they go with that. Then I almost want to see, it never went anywhere, but like Watchtower has a structured barrel that doesn't even look like a structured barrel. John Baker has the structured barrel, and I do think there's something to a structured barrel. And this just looked like a normal everyday barrel, but then like there's a sleeve like a suppressor, and when you go underneath it, there's patterns. So Watchtower had a structured barrel. Yeah, it's got to be smooth, right? And they can't sand or grind the printed stuff. It wrecks the strength. So it's not like they print it, you get that roughness to it, and then they can go back and just clean it up. They really can't, because that contractor told me if they try to work on it. What's the I don't know the initials. What's GSCI? Tell me who that, because that's too long of an acronym. I'd have to look up who's GSCI. There's too much stuff to follow at any given moment, dudes. My brain doesn't work like that. If I remember something, GSCI, who are they? Is that a stock? Nope, that's stocks. Who's GSCI, dude? Advanced Photonics? Something optical? Electro-optical? Advanced Photonics Electrical Optical System, leading Canadian electrical optical, military and law enforcement. I don't know them. See, that's why I got to look shit up. Yeah, but if their electrical optical stuff's good, then I got to go see Cadex, because they're making a rifle for me. They're making me that one to match my car. So Cadex, yeah, Canadian Laser Night Vision. Yeah, I saw it. Um, it doesn't necessarily tear it up trying to clean it up. It like the fiber or the threading and how they do it, it wrecks the strength. It wrecks the strength of it. So if you 3D print it and then you try to clean it, you degrade it, is what they're saying. But yeah, I got to go see Cadex too. See my buddy Serge over there. I dig Serge at Cadex. He's the funnest guy on the planet. Um, and he's living his best life, man. You go see Serge, and it's like, dude, you're a pimp, and it's just amazing. But yeah, so I'll go see Cadex too, because they're putting something together for me in doing that. But yeah, electro optics, man, electro optics, 3D printed suppressors. I don't know where anybody. I mean, I know I'll check MDT out, because MDT is always good stuff. I think they just released a stock they already talked out, and I know MDT has stuff that I've worked with that I can't say, but that's not really for any of you guys. This, the stuff they're doing that I did with them. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know why I hate it, but I like that, like my Vector X, the 905 and that, like Laura's Vector X. She got a new set from Vectronics. Soon at the first day I bring them out, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. And that's a 905. But then like my Mars 905, 1500, 1500, 1500, and it's like I want 4,000. And so, I got the Maztec, I got the 1550 one, or what were they, 1530 Maztec? I think Maztec's 1530. So yeah, like no more do what I do. I don't even think, except unless it's Vectronics, maybe Leica. Um, I really, 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 really don't want 905s anymore. I know they can do neat shit with 905s. I know they can pull some really cool because Vectronics doing it, but I don't want no friggin' 905s no more. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But see, but then that's cost, right? So now if you have to, the thing is, if they got to 3D print something and then make it bigger or clean it up and put in labor, now you're up in the cost again. So you get away from one side of it, 3D printing it, but then you're back to the other side because you might want to clean it up. But it's such a new tech. None of the negatives are on the street because it's too soon for us to see it. There's no accumulation. Like I said, I just happened to be at Recon Sniper, and I met a contractor who's working for the military, and his whole thing is to look at 3D printed stuff. And so that was his, like, he was like, oh, by the way, and so yeah, but it's, I'm sure they'll get it, but honestly, coat it, right? If you could put a coating on it and just paint it, and that sort of seals it, to me, that would be fine. Because I don't really notice much of the 3D printed, like the suppressors. None of them are coated, right? Has anybody noticed one? Has anybody sprayed them? Most of them leave them in the raw, don't they? The ones all he had were all in the raw because they do it in the color. But is there anybody coating them? Because I would think if you can basically spray something inside and let it coat and eliminate the ability to stick or embed into the print or into the roughness of it, because that's thick. That layer is pretty thick, and if you can get into it, the smooth metal, the part that looks like metal is down underneath that roughy stuff. And so I don't know. But they tell me you can't take the roughy stuff down too much, I guess, unless it's super thick without creating a little bit of an issue. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at. Electro optics for sure. The electro optics, and there's going to be some neat stuff. I know, because like I did have a conversation, but it's not ready, and they do want to go in a cool direction. But yeah, I'm over. Other than the ones that do it right, I'm over a 905. I want 1500 or nothing. Like why? Why can't they give us a 12? Like a 1250, right? I don't know the wavelengths and all that. I'm not that smart. But like if a 905 is here, but you can't have a 1550 because it's here, well, give me a 1250 in the middle, damn it. That'll get me my 4,000 yards and pulse it right. And I won't blind people. Come on. I want good lasers. I want good lasers. I don't want bad lasers. Right? Nobody wants bad lasers. There's nothing worse in especially like if it's on a tripod or a bag, right? Tell me, guys, is there anything worse than pressing a button on your laser, hitting a target, and just getting the dashes? That's like I'm like it is the worst thing ever. Like boop, nothing. What? Boop, nothing. What? Are you kidding? And then you start, and like the old days in the old classes, like I'd do a class and talk lasers, and it'd be like, hit the right corner, hit the right top, hit the left corner, hit the left bottom, then shoot the center, then average your number. And it's like now it's like boop, dash. Why do I got to dash? Motherfucker. And then on top of that, with the weapons mounted, it's like making sure everything is right. So finicky, and it's like, it's like 65 inch pounds. No, 75. It's like this, no, this, right? You always got to do it twice, and crazy, crazy, just crazy out there. We're going crazy, Eddie. Crazy, Eddie. So one more time, I'll be on Sunday morning. I'll do my normal Sunday morning live for everybody before we go to SHOT Show. We leave first thing Monday morning. I'm meeting my daughter's coming in from LA. She's giving me my Christmas presents. Then Monday night, we're going to see, I think, Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. So I'm going to go see Dorothy kick off her shoes at the Sphere. And if I only had a brain, should be cool. And then from then Tuesday in the show, I'll be off and running, so that's where we're at. Yeah, Cerakote has high heat Cerakote. Cerakote can do exhaust. Cerakote's all in cars. They have high heat for all that. And you could totally they're asking about high heat. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they high heat Cerakote, and suppressors get, if you crank them, not the ones like a AR, but a bolt gun suppressor, I've gotten to 375 degrees, and they're just normal Cerakote, and like all mine are just Cerakoted normal, but they have a high heat Cerakote that works. Cerakote's ceramic, so it works really good and things like that. But again, I'm going to make a thread on the hide in the armory. If you want me to see something, if you want me to bring you the elevator speech live, I will go there and get you your elevator pitch live for you. I'll try to, live most of what I'm seeing. Again, the one caveat, I'm going to bring like my hotspot, but I don't know how big or bad the service is going to be in the place. So I'm going to do everything I can to lower the resolution and get the video out. But just know service at SHOT is not always the best because there's, 200,000 people on their phone at the same time looking at the same tower you are. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you on all the time and stopping in to say hi with us. Always there. Robbie's always on, man. Always saying hi. All these guys are. Wendell, everybody there. All good crew. Got good crew on the hide. You guys are awesome. So yeah, I'll do that, do this. But again, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. We are back on the Podbean app with the Everyday Sniper podcast. I am doing a weekly podcast on top of these lives. I just posted the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation live we did with Tim Parkhurst. So I will be doing SHOT Show live, things like that. So there are Podbean for you guys who are the podcast people and who don't necessarily do the lives, the podcast crew. I am new season, new year, new season of the Everyday Sniper podcast. So that is back. For you guys who've never listened to the Everyday Sniper podcast, there's over 300 episodes. They go back a couple years. In the very beginning, when I first started it, I was number 4 behind Joe Rogan for like a minute because it was so new. You know what I mean? And there wasn't everybody else doing it. And I quickly, dropped like a rock. But I have the screenshot when Podbean did their end of the year for my first year on Podbean. I was number 4 behind Joe. And I was like, woo, but now I'm not as consistent, low, but there's over 300 episodes, a lot of interviews. There's a whole week of applied ballistics. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the Everyday Sniper podcast. So Podbean, your apps and things like that. And we are in the new season. And as always, multiple lives on the site. We're looking to do that. I'm hoping the weather's not great. Like I said, stupid winds and a bunch of annoying stuff, but I'm hoping to get out to the range one more time and to test the 720 live and to bring you another live. And so I believe Friday I have a subscriber stream as well on Friday night. So I'll probably be talking on a subscriber stream with Sniper's Hide. They didn't put a thing up, so I don't know what really they're doing. I gotta look. But I may have one extra live on Friday where I'll talk more shooting and stuff because that'll just be the Hide TV. It won't be simulcast. So if I do a Friday, like I believe I'll do guns and shooting and talking some fundamentally stuff and some things like that. And I may even show you some stuff because if it's subscriber. But anyway, yeah, thank you. Oh, did you see it? Yeah, don't say nothing. Did you see it? Yeah, 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 that was Rusted Nut got. Yeah, don't. Shh. I'm embargoed. People, he saw he saw what I had on the embargoed optic on my scope. He's like, was that a so? Yeah, well, dude, let me tell you what. That thing is amazing. And it does neat stuff on top of that, what you just wrote. I'm not going to say any of it out loud, but let's just say there might have been something in there and it might have been super cool. And that optic is really nice. And I dig it. And yeah. He's like, I saw that. You're trying to hide. But you know what? Hopefully you're the only ones and I don't get in trouble. I shouldn't because I didn't say nothing. I didn't bring any attention. And if you noticed, did you see I put a sticker on the side of it, a shoot and see on the side so you couldn't read it? So it could be anything. You know what I mean? They saw what I had. And but I put a 2-inch shoot and see on the parallax so you couldn't read it. I was trying to be almost slick. I didn't think I had the camera high enough where you could see over the top. You know, I didn't get a phone call, so I'm guessing I'm okay. But I may go there and get yelled at. Like I said, I always get yelled at. But as long as I didn't bring attention to it and I didn't kind of I wasn't trying to be too cute by half. I other than blocking the label, I wasn't trying to be cute or anything like that. So if you saw it, you saw it. But do you know which one it was? Rusted. Do you know what model that one was? Because there's like a line of them. Do you have a clue? Be curious to see how close he gets to which one it was. See, always dropping nuggets. I mean, to be honest with you, I had 2,000 people watch that thing, even though it was a little glitchy and all that. I had 2,000 people watch it. So I'm just gonna see if he. I just want to see if he. Did you notice the shoot and see on it? I'm like, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. it dude, we're only a week out. Give me a break. Alrighty, guys. I'm not gonna wait anymore. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Oh, there you go. Oh no, no. Okay, good. No, he got the wrong one. I'm not entirely burned. That's good. Okay, that's good. Wrong one. I'm like, cool. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I was trying to. Like I said, I wasn't trying to be too cute to be like. And yes, they did. Yes, you're correct. I have two of them, so I have two here. I have a low one and a high one. And so yeah, they made a whole line of them, and they sent me to. I begged for the one you saw. I begged for. I was like, because they had slated me to have the big one, and as they went through the line, I went, and they're like, no, you can't have that one. I'm like, and they're like, no, I don't. We don't have enough. I'm like, and then well, let me ask. I'll find out. And then they came back and go, we got you one. And I went, yeah. Yes, yes, some of them are. There are there's a mix in all the stuff. There's a mix of front and second because of like cops and stuff. There is a mix of front and second. There's a mix of them. So there's a little wider skew than you realize. Yes. And cool reticles, new stuff. It looks good. It's definitely they did a good job. And like I said, that one on there is like paired perfect. It's like such it is such the natural pairing. And when I'm looking at the line, and I had a meeting with him of Zoom, and when I'm looking at the line, and I've been working the Craddock and the 6 arcs and things like that, I'm like, I gotta have that for the 6 arc, dude. And it's like, because they did bolt gun stuff for me, and not realizing I'm dabbling and playing around in the gas gun with that small frame gas gun stuff. Well, I don't know about that. Long gunner's pretty. Those guys are pretty good, but yeah, I don't know where my pull is anymore. My pull is greatly reduced. I'm not the 800-pound gorilla in the room anymore. I'm only like 400 pounds right now. So my pull is greatly reduced. But I'm fortunate and definitely appreciative that they were able to do that for me. And like I said, it's a huge pairing. That pairing is perfect. It's and you saw the size is right. It's the pairing is just perfect. So yeah, they did a good job with that. But yeah, we'll find out. I got to see them if they saw it. Probably not because it was during the day, and who knows. But yeah, that was I wasn't trying to be silly with it, but at the same time, it's like that's what I had with a direct thread to come right off. That was up and running and was at. So it was like, well, I'm gonna bring that because I need a gas gun to show with the suppressor, and at the same time, this is where I am, and so I didn't want to tear it apart or change something. And but yeah, oh, you're the long gunner. Yeah, yeah. But no, it was good. It was neat, and like I said, I made sense, but it's really good and it's smart. Cool, man. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being a part of the Everyday Sniper. Appreciate you all. Appreciate everybody on watching and listening. And again, I will be on. I have a subscriber stream, I believe Friday, and then Sunday morning I'll do my coffee in the morning on Sunday with everybody again. But Friday will just be a high TV only, and then Shot Show. Anything I'm going to do around firearms is high TV only because of the firearms, and I don't want to get strikes and cut and all that. So I don't know, the mindset of them when you're at a trade show handling a firearm. They know nothing because it's AI based, right? So my guess is a Facebook or a YouTube is going to censor anything at SHOT Show, but I'm going to be live on the hide. So anyway, cool guys, thank you, appreciate it. And then once I'm back from SHOT and everything, we'll have Chris back on, and we'll do that. Hopefully he'll be feeling better and everything will be good. But yep, good to see y'all. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We kind of mess it up, Shields. Yeah, we mess things up a little bit every now and then. It happens. And that's the thing with the retailers put their stuff out of it gets so retailers always bust because they always get it early, and they always the Ace weather meter. Okay, I'll have to look at that then. Ace weather meter. I hadn't even seen it. All right, cool. There you go. I'm gonna go check out the Ace weather meter. All right, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Melissa, I'll see you there. Good to see you again. Thank you, and thank you everybody. Rusty, Rusted, this guy, that guy, Robbie, everybody.